Did you know that the oldest European settlement in the Far East is Macau? Yes, that's right. We're going back to the year 1557. Imagine this. The Portuguese, in their quest to control maritime trade in the region, stumble upon a small, quiet fishing village. And they think, well mate, this looks like a good spot. So they strike a deal with the Chinese officials, agreeing to pay an annual land rent. And just like that, the Portuguese have their foothold in the Far East. Now, the Portuguese weren't just there for the scenic views or the delicious dim sum. They had their sights set on the lucrative spice trade and, let's not forget, the dream of a Christian kingdom in the East. Macau was their golden ticket, a strategic gateway between the East and the West. In a short span of time, they transformed this humble village into a bustling city. Picture this: grandiose churches and fortresses rising amidst the humble local dwellings, merchant ships crowding the harbor, the air filled with a blend of Eastern and Western cultures. It's not just a city, it's a melting pot. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The Portuguese had to navigate through numerous challenges, from hostile relations with the local Chinese to competition from the Dutch and the Spanish. Yet, they managed to hold their ground, maintaining their grip on Macau. And believe it or not, they did all this while still paying rent to the Chinese. Talk about being a model tenant. You see, the Portuguese never claimed sovereignty over Macau. It was always China's territory, Portugal's administration. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is just the beginning of the tale. As the years roll on, Macau's strategic importance only grows, its story becoming more intricate and fascinating. So the Portuguese effectively turned a small fishing village into a bustling strategic port city. Talk about a makeover. Fast forward to 1849 and we're in the midst of the Opium War. Tensions are high and Macau is about to get a new lease on life. The Opium War, a tumultuous period in history, was a game-changing time for Macau. China and Britain were at loggerheads over the trade of opium, and the Portuguese enclave of Macau found itself enveloped in the chaos. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Macau was about to find an unexpected opportunity. The Portuguese had been paying an annual rent to China for Macau, a payment that harked back to the mid-16th century when the Portuguese first set foot in this part of the world. But the Opium War brought about a significant change in this arrangement. The conflict led to the Treaty of Tinsin in 1862, a pivotal moment that would forever alter Macau's destiny. The Treaty of Tinsin, named after the city where it was signed, was a series of agreements that marked the end of the Opium War. Among the many clauses and conditions, one particular provision stood out for the Portuguese. The treaty abolished the annual rent they had been paying to China. This meant that Macau was no longer a rented property but a free port. Imagine it. One moment you're forking out a chunk of your income to your landlord, and the next, the house is all yours, free and clear. That's quite the upgrade, wouldn't you say? Suddenly, Macau was no longer just a tenant in the vast empire of China. It had its own autonomy, its own identity. This freedom not only shaped its political future but also had a profound impact on its economy and culture. So, what does this mean for Macau? Well, as a free port, it could engage in trade without the hefty taxes and restrictions that other ports faced. This brought about a surge in commerce and prosperity, transforming Macau into a bustling hub of trade and activity. So in the blink of an eye, Macau went from being a tenant to a freeholder. Not a bad deal, eh? Enter the 20th century, a time of change and uncertainty. And guess what? Macau was right in the thick of it. As the world was shifting gears into the new century, Macau was also evolving. In 1902, the establishment of the Macau Governor's Office marked a significant milestone in the city's administrative evolution. With this change, Macau was no longer just an outpost of the Portuguese Empire, but a city with its own governance, marching to the beat of its own drum. As the years ticked by, the world found itself on the brink of a devastating conflict, World War II. It was a period of turmoil and uncertainty, where allegiances were tested and the future was anything but clear. But amidst the chaos, Macau found its footing, not in the trenches, but in neutrality. While the world was at war, Macau maintained a stance of neutrality. A bold move considering the city's strategic location and the surrounding political climate. But Macau was no stranger to bold moves. Its decision to remain neutral was not just a political strategy, but a reflection of the city's character, an embodiment of its resilience and its commitment to peace. Macau's neutrality during World War II was not a passive act, but an active choice. The city opened its doors to refugees fleeing the conflict, providing shelter and hope for thousands. In the midst of a world divided by war, Macau stood as a sanctuary, a beacon of humanity in a time of darkness. The city's decision to remain neutral was a testament to its strength, its resolve, and its commitment to its people. It was a statement that despite the turbulence of the outside world, Macau would remain steadfast, unswayed by the winds of war. Despite the chaos of the world around it, Macau stood its ground, remaining a beacon of neutrality in a sea of conflict. Impressive, wouldn't you say? Now let's take a leap to the year 1999. The world was bracing itself for the Y2K bug, but Macau was facing a different kind of change. In this year, a momentous event occurred that would forever shape Macau's identity. Portugal, after over 4 centuries of rule, handed over the reins to China. This marked the end of one of the longest-held colonial territories in world history. But don't be mistaken, this wasn't just a simple passing of the baton. Rather, it was the beginning of a unique arrangement that would allow Macau to maintain its distinct character while still being part of China. This arrangement, known as the One Country, Two Systems principle, was a brainchild of Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping. Under this framework, Macau was allowed to maintain its capitalist economic system and way of life for 50 years after the handover. It was a bit like having your cake and eating it too. Macau became a special administrative region of China, a status that it shares with its neighbor Hong Kong. Macau's status as a special administrative region has allowed it to preserve its cultural heritage while also embracing new influences. The city's skyline, once dominated by colonial architecture, is now punctuated with towering skyscrapers. Yet, amidst the bustle of modernity, you can still find quaint cobblestone streets, colonial-era buildings, and the echoes of Portuguese in the local language. The One Country, Two Systems principle has also allowed Macau to become a global hub of tourism and entertainment. It's a place where East meets West, where centuries-old traditions coexist with cutting-edge technology. The result is a city that's as vibrant and diverse as the people who call it home. But let's not forget, Macau's journey hasn't been all smooth sailing. It's faced its share of challenges, from the impact of the global economic downturn to the ongoing debate about democratic reforms. Yet, through it all, Macau has shown a remarkable resilience and adaptability. And so, Macau embarked on a new chapter in its history, blending its European past with its Chinese present and future. So, from a humble fishing village to a vibrant port city, Macau's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. Let's take a moment to retrace our steps through the fascinating tale of Macau. The story began centuries ago when this little corner of the world was a simple fishing village. But fate had bigger plans for Macau. The arrival of the Portuguese in the 16th century marked a turning point, transforming it into a significant trading port. The Portuguese influence is still palpable today, from the cobblestone streets to the egg tart pastries. But Macau's journey wasn't always smooth sailing, pardon the pun. The Opium War and the Treaty of Tientsin in the 19th century were pivotal moments that brought about a shift in power dynamics, with Macau becoming a free port under Portuguese administration. Fast forward to the 20th century, and we find Macau playing a unique role during World War II. Its neutrality and strategic location made it a refuge, a safe haven in the midst of global chaos. This neutrality, however, was not without its challenges, and Macau had to navigate treacherous waters to maintain peace. And then, the dawn of the 21st century brought another sea change, the handover to China. This marked the end of over 400 years of Portuguese rule, and the beginning of a new chapter for Macau, under the principle of One Country, Two Systems. Today, Macau stands as a special administrative region of China, a vibrant city where East meets West, tradition intertwines with modernity, and where every corner tells a story of resilience and adaptation. From the heart of the Far East, this is Macau, a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the confluence of cultures. Remember, history isn't just about dates and facts, It's about the stories that shape us. And Macau, my friends, has one heck of a story.